What's up, everyone? My name is Ryan Moore, and we are going to talk about packaging and presenting. So here's an overview of what we're getting into in this module. We're going to talk a little bit about the summit so you'll know where we're headed and know that it's not that difficult to achieve. I'll tell you a little bit more about the rule of ROI so you'll understand the principles behind how we price this product and how we package it for the purpose of sales. We'll go over some baseline pricing recommendations so you can walk away with something very tangible and practical that you can utilize right away today. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about the 5 battle lines and how to progress the pricing of your service. So let's dive in. First off, the summit. There are a lot of people that may have heard things like, Ryan and Robb, they used to charge $6K up front and they did over $2 million in less than 2 years, coming up from nothing and bootstrapped this agency to this crazy summit up here. And some of you may find that to be something that sounds challenging. But the truth is, the farther up this mountain you go, the more unique your product becomes, simply because of how you price it and how you package it. Now, you may say, well, walking around in the plains, that's super easy. It's difficult to climb the mountain, and that's true. It will take a particular set of skills to progress up the mountain and find yourself on the peak. But it's much easier to get there if you do it with someone who's already been there before. So in these upcoming trainings, I'm going to tell you more about progressing the packaging, and I'm going to give you some strategies that'll make it easier for you to get to that summit than it was for Robb or I when we first started back in the day. So here we go. Let's dive in. The rule of ROI. ROI is the basic concept that most reasonable people are very willing and eager to invest in something that will produce 10 to 20 times what they are spending in terms of a return on investment in revenue. Remember that what you're bringing to a business owner is based on the lifetime value of their average client. I see people basing their product on what they can bring a business owner in this month, but the truth is, what we are bringing a business owner is a new client. So we want to base this on the lifetime value of that client. So here's a little bit of math for you guys. Average client lifetime value multiplied by a reasonable number of new clients that you can help an owner produce in a month equals what that owner is willing to spend multiplied by 10 or 20. Or said another way, if you remember the algebra equations, you can flip that whole thing around and you can say, look, the average client lifetime value multiplied by the number of new clients I'm going to bring you this month divided by 10 to 20 equals what an owner is willing to spend. So let's talk a little bit more about that and see what it looks like on a practical level. The point of this is that any reasonable person is very willing to invest in something that's going to bring them 10 to 20 times what they are spending this month. Now you think about other investment structures out there, real estate and stocks and all kinds of other things. Hardly anything else produces a 10 to 20x return on investment within a year. But what you will be bringing to the table, what you'll be providing to a business owner will be priced within that range. And here's how. Think about it like this. You've got an average client lifetime value of, say, $2,000, right? This would be something where the average client lifetime value is not super high. But if you take that average client lifetime value and multiply that by 20 and then divide it by 20, you've got $2,000. So what that means is if I can generate someone a reasonable number of new clients, meaning 20, and each new client is worth $2,000, well, then I can reasonably charge $2,000 for my product per month if I can bring them 20 clients per month at $2,000 per client. Another example here is, say you take this $2,000 and you multiply it by 20 and then divide it by 10. So if you were to charge $4,000 and produce someone 20 new clients, that is a 10x ROI if their client value is around $2,000. Now I'm going to talk with you a little bit more in the sales training portion about how to figure out a customer's average client lifetime value so that when you say, hey, my service is $2,000 per month, they've already thought through their head, wow, okay, if they're charging me $2,000, that's like a 20x ROI that I can expect to get this month. Or if they're charging me $4,000, that's a 10x ROI that I can expect to get this month, so that they are already thinking this way before you even arrive at your price. Here's another example. Say someone has an average client lifetime value of $10,000 right here. And say you can bring them in approximately 5 new clients per month, right? So if we are looking to produce a 20x ROI on 5 new clients per month and each client averaging about $10,000 in value, that means we can charge $2,500 and produce a 20x ROI in a business that has an average client lifetime value of 10 grand. Same deal down here. You've got the same 10 grand client lifetime value and the same 5 clients that you can reasonably bring them in a month. Well, look, if you charge $5,000 per month, you are bringing them in a 10x ROI. So you can see very quickly here how if you package and present and sell your product correctly, charging $2,000 per month or more is a very reasonable offer for many, many business owners out there, because there are very few businesses that we're going to work with that have an average client lifetime value of less than $2,000. Also, you notice here that if the average client lifetime value is $10,000 or more, the return on investment that you can bring them for a very small monthly fee of $2,500 is very, very powerful. So keep that in mind as you guys are selecting your niches. Baseline pricing. Let's talk a little bit about this on a very, very practical level. So this is the minimum recommended monthly investment. I've got a couple examples down here. These examples do not include ad spend. So let's imagine that your offer is done for you Facebook ads plus done for you database reactivation. I would not charge less than $1,500 for that. That is a baseline minimum. And then if you're only going to be doing Facebook ads for someone, or if you're only going to be doing done for you database reactivation, as you can see in the second and third options here, I would charge a minimum of $1,000 for either of those offerings. And what that will do for you is make it a lot more attractive for the average owner to spend the $1,500 to have Facebook ads and database reactivation all packaged together. Now, let's imagine that you're doing done for you Facebook ads, but you give clients logins to the system. They log into your white label of the program, right? And they're going to do the database reactivation themselves, so DIY DR, and they are going to be handling the follow-up. You'll just be doing the Facebook ads. I would charge a minimum of $1,200 per month for that. Now let's imagine you're just giving them access to the app, meaning you're giving them landing pages and text messaging capability. So that should be a minimum of $300 per month. And the reason for that is because if I were to purchase ClickFunnels, that's $100 per month. That's a landing page software. Or if I were to purchase a texting software like Scipio, that's $200 per month. So at a bare minimum, what an owner would be paying for those two pieces of technology is $300 per month. But here's the thing. Those pieces of technology are not going to come with proven sequences, proven landing pages, database reactivation strategies ready to go out of the box. Those services come completely blank, and the owner has to test their way to success. Whereas with this system, an owner will get to be successful right away, straight out of the box without any testing. And for those of you who have been in business for any amount of time, you'll know that research and development is one of the most expensive things you can do in business. Now let's imagine that you are just giving people access to the app for texting only. Again, follow this general rule of thumb, charge at least $200 per month for that in general. Let's talk a little bit about the 5 battle lines. And I call this 5 battle lines because it is a way to look at your pricing structure and start in the valley, in the plains, and slowly work your way up the mountain. The easiest way to get to the top of any mountain is the same way that you would eat an elephant, one bite at a time or one step at a time. So I'm going to share with you the strategy that a lot of people like to use to begin to progress their pricing and where they like to start. So optimally, what we will eventually someday be charging is 3 months of the service upfront and month to month thereafter for many people. And that is what Robb and I were doing. That is how we were charging $6,000 upfront. And that is also what enabled us to bootstrap our agency and progress so quickly to generating the amount of money that we did. The next step down from that would be charging this like a month-to-month service, and that's what a lot of people are doing right now. In many different types of agencies, they're just starting off month to month. The option that you would have after that is a month-to-month downsell. So let's imagine your month-to-month service is database reactivation and Facebook ads all done for you. And you might offer the downsell of, instead of $1,500 per month for both, $1,000 per month for just database reactivation, or $1,000 per month for just Facebook ads. You can fall back to a paid trial and say, look, for $500, I'll give you a trial of this, and I just want to break even. The $500 will get me to break even so that I can provide this trial to you. And the only thing that I want out of this trial is I want to be able to interview you about your results on the other side. And if you decide you want to work with me after that, cool, we can talk about that then. But the main thing that I would like in exchange for offering you this trial is I would like to be able to interview you about your results at the end of this trial. So would you be willing to do a 5-minute interview with me about your results after we do this trial? Notice, I'm not asking, would you be willing to pay me $500? I said it's $500. I'm asking, would you be willing to give me an interview at the end of this trial? Because that is the goal of the paid trial, and that is how we want to present it, and it will make your sale much easier. Finally, the final fallback would be a totally free trial. Look, man, give me your database. I'm going to book a bunch of appointments for you. Seeing is believing, and you're going to have more people in through the doors for free without any investment whatsoever on your part. And on the other side of that free trial, I'm going to ask 2 things of you. 1, I will ask you for a quick 5-minute interview about your results. And 2, if you're really pumped on what we do for you, I will give you an offer to get started with us at that point. How does that sound? Right? And that would be your final fallback. Now, I call this the 5 battle line strategy because as you progress in business, you're going to pick the thing that you are not willing to relinquish. So if I'm just starting out, I will probably pitch a month-to-month service, and I'm willing to fall back to a paid trial, but I am not willing to fall back to a free trial. A paid trial, but I'm not willing to fall back to a free trial. So if you look at it that way, what you will say is, look, I am willing to fall all the way back to a paid trial, but I am not willing to fall back any farther than that paid trial. That is the battle line that I will not relinquish. I will do it at a bare minimum, a paid trial. And as you progress in business, you make a couple sales here, you get a couple month-to-month service clients, you get a couple paid trials that convert to month-to-month. Well, then what you're going to do is bump your battle lines up, and you're not going to be willing to fall back beyond a month-to-month downsell, right? You might offer 3 months of service up front, month-to-month thereafter. And if you have to negotiate and if you have to fall back to make the sale, you may fall back to a month-to-month downsell, but you are not willing to fall back to less than a month-to-month downsell. Right. So let's talk about this in terms of practical numbers so that you can have something you can utilize right away. So this is what it'll look like for most people. If you're charging 3 months of the service upfront and month-to-month thereafter, that's something like $6,000 upfront. And the way that that offer would sound on the phone is, look, you can get started whenever you want for 10 grand. If you get started with me today, it's just $6,000 because I'll take $4,000 off for you, right? So that may be where you want to go. But the place to start is offering a month-to-month service. This is battle line number 2. And being willing to fall back as far as the free trial that I outlined earlier. Once you've gotten 2 or 3 free trials and you've gotten at least 1 interview, then you can go ahead and consider this battle line gone, that you will never go back to that point again, and bump your battle lines up to the one that you're willing to relinquish, being, I will not relinquish the paid trial. And that's your second step. So you'll offer the month-to-month service and then fall back to a paid trial if you need to make the sale. Finally, as you progress, you'll probably do away with this paid trial and you'll say, look, if you can't stomach investing $1,500 per month right now to prove that this works, what I will do is help you figure out something that works for your spending plan. So tell me, Mr. Business Owner, what works for your spending plan? And if they will tell you, oh, you know what, I could invest $1,000 per month, then you might say, great, So here's what I'll do for you. I'm going to get you started on the first month, and I will give you either Facebook ads for new leads or database reactivation to get your existing leads to book an appointments for exactly what makes sense for your spending plan, with the goal of making sure that you make enough money within your first month or two to upgrade to the full service. How does that sound? And you'll just wait, and they'll say, that sounds great. And you'll start them with the downsell. And start them with the downsell with whatever makes sense for their business. If they've got a big old honking database, well, great. Do database reactivation. If they don't have a big database, great. You have to start with Facebook ads or something to bring new leads in, right? Then, once you've decided that you will no longer fall back to this battle line of the month-to-month downsell, at that point in this phase is where you move forward and you say, I'm going to offer 3 months of the service up front and month-to-month thereafter, where I collect 3 months of my fee right away, and then everything goes month-to-month from there on. And I am willing to fall back to offering a month-to-month service if I have to make it work for someone's spending plan in a similar fashion as we did with these other battle lines. But at this point, this is as far as I am willing to fall back, just to this second battle line, a month-to-month service, but that is the line that I will not relinquish. You know how in the war movies they're like, that bridge has to hold. You have to hold the bridge. If you don't hold the bridge, all these terrible things will happen, right? So that's what I'm talking about here. You will not relinquish this second line once you get to a certain point. And then eventually, you'll find yourself at the pinnacle where you're only willing to work with people who are capable of investing 3 months of your service fee up front and month to month thereafter. And guess what? It's not easy to get to the top of the mountain, but I'm going to outline several things that'll make it much easier to get there in terms of the specific things to say on the phone and the exact way to have a phone conversation that results in a business owner giving you a very clear yes or no at the end of that phone conversation, so you don't have to chase people with follow-up, and so that you're not struggling to make the sale on the phone. And what you'll find will happen as you make it to the peak of that mountain, there are less and less people that are willing to say, hey, this is the only kind of person that I'm going to work with. So guess what? By the nature of how you price your product becomes a premium product. Part of your marketing is your pricing, and it's probably the part of your marketing that people will not hear about until the moment of decision. But if I tell you, hey man, you can buy this t-shirt for $5. Well, all right, great. Some crappy $5 t-shirt, right? If I tell you, hey, this is a exclusive t-shirt, there were only 10 of its kind made, and this is number 7 of 10. Look at it, hand stitched right there on the tag. This t-shirt is $165. Immediately, your perception of those two t-shirts is very, very different. And the main thing that's different is exclusivity and price. So when we are at this first battle line near the pinnacle, what we are dictating by the type of person that we're willing to work with is number one, exclusivity. We are only willing to work with people who can do X, Y, and Z, specifically who are capable of investing $6,000 upfront at a minimum and who have a database of at least fill in the blank, 1,000 contacts, depending on your industry, that may vary, right? But we're only willing to work with people who have this many contacts in their database and are capable of investing on this level. So you've got exclusivity, number one, and that elevates the value of your product. Number two, what you're doing is you have found yourself in a more protected space there at the pinnacle of the mountain, and you will be able to do things for your clients and grow your business in ways that other people cannot grow their business, and do things for their clients that other people cannot do for their clients because they don't have this amount of cash flow up front before fulfilling the product. So what will happen is you will have extra bandwidth, meaning extra profit, to refine your product and improve what you provide to the world, whereas other people who are only charging month to month will not have that extra profit up front to produce a product as elite as yours. So those are some of the steps along the way to getting to the pinnacle of that pricing structure. So in summary, start making sales right now. Use the suggested pricing that we went over right here in this slide. Okay, baseline pricing. If you don't know where to start, use this pricing right here and hit the ground running.